Welcome to the Collide Kids Podcast, hosted by Kristen Clark. This is a show for kids and families. You are going to meet new people and have fun while you listen. Let's do it!
Hey, y'all. Happy New Year. Welcome back to the Collide Kids Podcast. I'm your host, Kristen Clark. The Collide Kids Podcast is a show for kids and families where we learn together how life and faith collide. I am so glad that you are listening to this first episode in 2024. I know, it's a few weeks into the new year, and you're probably thinking, where have you been? Well, let me tell you, we had an amazing Christmas break, and then my husband and I got to go on a very special trip to Hawaii to celebrate our anniversary and me finishing my master's degree in seminary. And so it was a lot to celebrate. We had a great time, and we're just getting back into the swing of things. And so I'm excited to kick off the new year and to be here with you. Hey, if this is your first time listening, I am so glad you're here. Be sure to listen to the end of every episode. That's where we have the kids only segment where kids just like you get to be on the podcast too. Well, I am super excited about our guest today. You know, I am a huge fan of Christian radio and Christian music, and I love when I get to meet artists and songwriters. And today I get to meet someone on the other end of Christian music, a radio promoter. I actually connected with Rachael Hession through my friends over at River Radio in Columbus, Ohio, and I am so excited for you guys to meet her. She grew up as a pastor's kid, then went to a very small private Christian school and graduated in 3 years. Then she was able to intern at Capital Christian Music Group and ended up working with people like Tori Kelly, Chris Tomlin, We the Kingdom, Ann Wilson, Crowder, and many more. Recently, she was asked to join TRIBL Records to help build their radio department. You guys are going to really enjoy this conversation all about radio promotion and Christian music. So here is my conversation with my friend, Rachael Hession. Well, Rachael, I am so excited to have you on the Collide Kids Podcast.
I'm so excited. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, this is so exciting. I love that I get to connect with you. We have a mutual friend who was also on the podcast, Chad, and the team over at River Radio. And so I'm excited to connect with new people. So that's really cool.
Well, you clearly have good taste in friends, so I know we're going to get along wonderfully. I love the River Radio morning show team and that whole station.
Yes.
I listened to that episode actually this morning in preparation for this.
Yes,
awesome. It was so fun. So for anybody listening who has not listened to that episode, they are a hoot.
They really are. It was a lot of fun to create that episode and interview those people. They were so fun. Well, would you just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Sure. So my name is Rachael Hession. It's session with an H. A lot of people get that confused when they see it written. I am 28 years old, live in Nashville, Tennessee. I am vice president of national promotion at TRIBL Records, which is a newer record label, but they have Maverick City, Housefires, Naomi Rain, Chandler Moore, Travis Green. So a lot of excellent and wonderfully talented artists. So I oversee getting their songs played on the radio, like The River in Columbus and Sirius XM and K-Love and Air One. And wherever you're listening, I'm sure there's a radio station there that I have some sort of friend at.
Yeah, I love this. And I'm excited to talk to you about this because I'm a huge fan of, first of all those artists you just named. And I love Christian music and I love learning more about, there's so much more out there for people who love music. So I'm excited we're going to talk about that today. But before we do that, because this is a podcast for kids, we always like to start out with a joke. So I make my guests tell me a joke. Do you have a good one for us today?
Well, I have two.
Two. Okay, let's hear them.
This is just the type of person I am. I had no joke prepared, and then I came with two. So here we are. The first one, and I cannot take credit for these. Google is a wonderful resource.
Yes.
What kind of man was Boaz before he married Ruth?
I don't know.
Ruthless.
Ruthless.
Can you put that in there?
Yes, rim shot. That's a good one.
And then the last one, I thought this was actually really clever. Why did the unemployed person get excited while reading the Bible?
Ooh, I don't know.
They thought they saw a job.
Oh, yeah,
Job.
because one of the books, the Bible, yep, there's a job in there, but it's pronounced Job. You're right.
That is the extent of my
I
comedy career.
love
I
those.
am not a very funny person unless I'm trying not to be.
That's so good. Okay. Well, let's talk about your job. So tell us again, you're the vice president of promotion.
Yeah.
Sorry, you're vice president of what?
That's honestly, my family is still asking that same question. It is vice president of national promotion. That is the industry title, but really just radio
Okay.
promotion.
Awesome. And this is for a record company. So what does the record company do?
So the record company finds talented artists. They may already have kind of built their own career and they're looking for a partnership. Usually that's the most ideal way to sign somebody, or it could be somebody totally fresh and they want to develop them from the beginning. And then from there, we help produce music, make sure it's aligning and getting the sound that the artist desires. We market it, do social media marketing. We help with touring, going on the road. And then my job is helping get it on the airwaves. So on the radio with any sort of radio station that you might tune into that plays Christian music. Sirius XM The Message, K-Love, Air One in Columbus, it's 104.9 The River. So my job is just to get them on the radio stations to help with touring, so that then when they come to your market, a lot of the listeners know the songs already from the radio. And then it's also to help people go, oh, I love that song. I don't know what it is, and pull up their Shazam and add it to their Spotify or their Apple playlist.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really great tool in building a career.
That's amazing. I love that. And I think that's so interesting. Like we were saying before, like there's so many parts of the music industry. A lot of times we just hear the artists who are singing, but we don't think about how they got onto the radio or how they got out there. And so that's very interesting. That's what you do. So tell us a little bit about how that works. How do you get a new song onto the radio? What do you have to do?
That is a great question. The bare minimum that I can share and communicate is if you're day one as a radio promoter, you get a phone number and you get a station in a market and you call that phone number and you know who you're supposed to ask for. So it's for the river. Hey, can I talk to Joe Schmo? I won't give out the name. Can I talk to Joe Schmo about music tracking? And they'll say, yeah, let me put you in contact with Joe Schmo. And so you say, hey, I'm so-and-so. I work for Maverick City, Housefires, Travis Green, and I just wanted to talk to you about some of the songs that we're working. And then from there, you build a relationship. They have call times, so you can't just call them whenever you want. These radio programmers who program and decide what gets played on the radio station, they have call times. So you have to call them maybe Tuesday or Thursday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. is when they're accepting calls from promoters. And what I didn't realize until I was in this is it's really competitive. A programmer is looking at 70 potential songs to play at any given day. And their playlist doesn't necessarily hold 70 songs. And the new songs they bring in that year is probably less than 70. So typically, a station will add 1 or 2 songs a week out of that 70. So you need to come with streaming data, touring data, because most Christian radio stations are donor-based, meaning the listeners have to decide to keep them on the air by giving financially. Because of that, it's really important to these radio stations that their listeners love the music that they're playing. So they will do what they call testing or research, where if you're a listener to a local radio station, you can actually go online and sign up to be part of the focus group that decides what's played on your radio station.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So it's really fun. So it's more interactive and you can kind of make it you have a say in what playlist they have and what they play. But as a record promoter, that data is really important to me because it's like, oh, they love this artist or they love this song or this message, or oh, maybe that's not resonating like we thought it might. I wonder why. So testing is really important to getting a song played as well.
Interesting. So for an artist that's just starting out, maybe they don't have a fan base or they don't have a lot of people that know about them and their music. Is that a lot harder for them to get their stuff out there, to get their new music out?
To get it on the radio, yes. It is very challenging. There are a couple ways that you could go about it. You could hire your own independent radio promoter. They have the relationships with the radio stations, so they will call them on your behalf and let them know that your song is available. And at the very least, they'll give you feedback from what these people are saying, because they'll listen to it, but they might not play it. But you'll have a whole portfolio of feedback from the gatekeepers, which is really valuable. Another way to do that is you can service your song on what we all service our songs to radio on. It's a platform called Play MPE. And that service is really great just to get it in front of people. However, so many people that are independent artists do that nobody's really going to take the time of day to listen to your song unless somebody's advocating for it on your behalf.
Okay.
If you are an artist that has a local radio station, say in Bowling Green, Kentucky, or Columbus, you could set up a meeting with somebody in the building and play them your music and just say, hey, like, I understand reality and I understand that this is a really long shot, but I really believe in this. And I just thank you for your time and listening to it. And maybe you play it once on a Saturday and do like a local artist segment. Mm-hmm. Not a lot of people do that, but why not be the innovator for that? Why not pitch that to your local station?
Yeah, I think that would be so cool. And then you're giving that person a chance. I love that you said that promoters are like gatekeepers, like they're kind of helping, they're advocating for you, they're advocating for their record label. So you're really putting yourself out there to say, I know what I'm talking about, and I'm trying to help this person go forward.
Yeah, there's gatekeeping on both ends, right? Like there's the promoter's relationship with the station really matters, because if you're working a song, it's your stamp of recommendation. So you really want to work songs that you personally believe in. And they may not be songs that you personally would love and would play on the weekend, but you can see why the listener of that station might love it, because we're not doing this for our taste. We're doing it for the taste of the person and the demographic that station is trying to reach. Mm-hmm. But then there's also the gatekeeper for the programmer, because like I said, I can't make them press add to their playlist. They have to do that. So it's really, they are the tastemakers of what gets played, and it's competitive. You have to bring all the information, heart, and what they're already playing and how this could fit in or diversify in a really wonderful way. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's balance of what types of songs they're playing. Are they playing a good balance of new and legacy artists or core artists, or is it a little unbalanced, and why? And I think a big part of the job is understanding that local radio is local because every community needs something different. I can't do the same pitch to Baltimore as I would Sioux Falls, because their demographics and their community needs are wildly different. So being investigative, asking that programmer, what matters to your city right now? What messages do you think they need? And then when they give you an answer on that, say, oh, well, I have a song for you then. Yeah. And going in that route versus when I'm calling 60 stations, I don't want to sound like I just copied and pasted a voice memo to all of them.
Mm-hmm. Right. You want to sound like you know what this different demographic might need or what this different area might want to hear. You have to do a lot of investigating and digging yourself. How much music do you listen to a week?
Oh my goodness. Honestly, if it's not for work, I kind of don't listen to music. You're around it all the time that I'm like, oh, silence is so wonderful.
Yeah.
And then you go through the phases, like in the summer when it's a nice evening and you want to play your music. I would say a lot of my listening time happens when I'm in the car on a road trip with my husband. I'll play him some demos that I get or some songs that I'm working on, and I'll get his feedback, and I really like hearing it in the car. I think we do our listener a disservice as those gatekeepers just by listening on our phones, because most of them probably aren't listening through speakers like that, and different instrumentations and production is going to come through differently on various speaker systems.
That's very true. So do you like have one song and then you call 60 stations, or do you have like 10 songs that you're kind of working at all times?
Great question. It's at one point in my career, I worked 19 songs at one time. So think about, if you have 40, 50, 60 stations times 19, that's the amount of various pitches that you're doing a week.
Wow.
So hundreds and hundreds of variations of this pitch. But I will say in my current role, we're around probably 5 to 10, somewhere in that range. And it's really fun because at TRIBL, since it's a newer label, a lot of these artists, are still developing their radio presence at Christian radio. So you're creating those relationships from the ground up versus when I was at TRIBL Records, you were coming in working with Chris Tomlin or Toby Mac, and they have a better relationship with the station than you do.
Yeah.
So it's really fun to come in and kind of be at the start point of somebody's journey and watch it build and grow.
That's really cool. Now, how did you get started in this field? Like, what was it about radio promotion that made you excited, or was it something that fell in your lap and you discovered it later?
It absolutely fell in my lap. It was 1,000,000% Jesus. Here's what I'll tell you. I loved watching American Idol.
Me
and
too.
So,
Love that
really?
show. Yeah.
Did you ever call in and vote?
A couple times.
Who did you vote for?
Oh, man. I think I voted for... I was at the beginning. Like, I saw Kelly Clarkson win in season 1, so I feel like a diehard American Idol fan. I think I voted for Chris Archuleta.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I'm sure I voted a couple times, but yeah, there's a few of them that I voted for.
I was huge. I remember, I think Jordan Sparks, I voted 72-ish times.
Jordan Sparks.
I kept counting how many times I was dialing. I don't think my parents knew that I was sitting there on the landline continuously dialing this number. But I was a huge American Idol fan. And my dad, the way that we kind of bonded was we would watch the show and we would pause it before the judges gave their feedback, and we would kind of guess what they were going to say, and then we'd press play and see if we were right. And over the years, I learned I'm consistently in line with Simon Cowell. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
No, I would too. I'd be like, she was pitchy, or like that wasn't very energetic. And then he would say what I said, and I'm like, yes.
Yes. Yeah, if you agree with Simon Cowell, you're like,
an
okay,
ear.
You got an ear. There's something there.
Right.
And so over time, when I was trying to decide what I wanted to do, I was songwriting, but you kind of get to the age where you realize if you're going to be the one to pursue that, or if Ashley 3 lockers down is going to be the one to pursue that. And I was like, yeah, that's not going to be me. That might be her. And so I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to be around music, and I wanted to do something that was more behind the scenes. So I figured, okay, why not music business? Mm-hmm. But in the meantime, I felt called to go to a school that did not have a music business program. There was music and business, but I in no way was fit for percussion theory. That was not going to happen. So I was like, yeah, that class structure is not going to work for me. Yeah. So I studied marketing. And the whole time I'm in rural Indiana, middle of the cornfields. Nobody knows what A&R is, like even the head of the music department. And I just did not want to go to college. And my dad just kept saying, Rachel, God knows your address. Mm. He knows it. So you just need to do the next right thing and trust that he knows the desires of your heart. And I ended up getting a acceptance into this program called the Contemporary Music Center, which is the final, it was my final semester of college. It's kind of a practicum for students who want to do artist, tech, or business in the music industry here in Nashville. So when we were moving into that, my grandmother from Bismarck, North Dakota was like, you should meet with my friend Greg. He's really great. He was a big producer in the 80s. And I'm like, no offense, Grandma from Bismarck, North Dakota, but I don't think your friend Greg, who is a producer in the 80s, is really going to be much help to me. I had no idea what I was talking about because I met Greg And he showed me up into his studio, and all of a sudden there are walls just covered with platinum records and Dove Awards and Grammys. I'm like, okay. Your friend Greg from Bismarck, North Dakota probably knows somebody.
Yeah.
Come to find out, he was like Sandy Patty's producer. He worked like with so many incredible legendary acts. And Greg was like, I'm going to make it my goal to get you an internship this summer. And I was like, that's so nice of you. I don't want nepotism. Like, I'm going to figure this out on my own. Thanks. Well, little me only had Ace Hardware on her resume. Not really going to break through with the Belmont students. So I kept getting declined for a lot of internships. And finally I was like, all right, I need this internship to graduate. Greg, can you please help me? He's like, yes, I would love to. So he put in a word for me at Capitol and got an internship there. I applied for a full-time position that really, I was not a good fit. And I was just like, you know what? It's better to have a body in the door than just a name on a paper. So
Right.
I'm going to take the job and I'm going to grind it out for a year and I'm going to have a positive attitude and I'm going to pay my dues. Come to find out, I was hearing rumblings and was being asked a couple times, hey, did you know there's a spot open on the radio team? And I was like, 1, I didn't study music business. 2, I didn't know we had a radio department. 3, I just started in this job 3 weeks ago. I'm not going to be that millennial that jumps ship to the coolest new shiny thing. So thanks, no thanks. Then I get a call from HR and she's like, so everybody above you has already agreed that you should maybe have a conversation about this job.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, well, I'm still training for this one. So thanks, but no thanks. And she's like, well, just have a conversation. So I did. That was on a Monday. Thursday, I got offered, it's right here, a offer on a sticky note with a raise, which was very generous for this college newbie with no music industry experience. And in that interview, I didn't have anything to lose. So I said, hey, I don't know anything about radio. I don't know if I'm going to love it, but if you take a chance on me, I'll take a chance on you and we'll see if it's a good fit. And now 6 years later, I am obsessed with it. Long story short,
awesome.
Edit it how you will. But like, I have no business being here. All I know is I love it and I'm going to keep doing it till they kick me out.
Yeah, I think that's so good because a lot of times we feel like we have to set ourselves up first before we can do the thing. Like, this is the steps that someone else took to get to this job, so I have to take those exact same steps. But a lot of times, if we just have a heart for it and we're open, there's lots of possibilities out there. You might not have to take all the steps that someone else took to get to the same position. And loving what you do is such a blessing. That's a huge bonus that you get to enjoy your job.
Yeah. I always have to rein myself in a little bit because I get that like twinkle in my eyes. Like I know people see it when I'm like, oh, let me teach you all about radio promotion and numbers and strategy and all the things.
Let me ask you this. What is something about your job that has helped your relationship with God or taught you more about who God is? We'll be right back after this. You know, raising kids in the digital age isn't easy, but Bark Technology makes products that help parents keep their kids safe online and in real life. They have an app, a phone, and a home device that lets families set parental controls on their internet-connected devices. I love the app because it helps us manage screen time and blocks websites and apps we want our kids to avoid. It also sends alerts and gives us the ability to monitor texts and social media and even track your child's location. Visit bark.us to learn more about how you can keep your kids safe online. Use the code COLLIDEKIDS to get 15% off your subscription of the Bark app.
Ooh, that's a really good question. I think the biggest thing for me, I genuinely didn't deserve to be here on paper. I did not go to a music business school. I did not study music business. I had 0 internships on my resume.
Mm-hmm.
And to be a 28-year-old label executive and to not have applied for that job, I mean, that is the Lord's favor, and that is the Lord knowing the desires of your heart, and just not forgetting that and remaining humble in that and reminding yourself every single day,
Yeah.
This is not because of me. This
Right.
is not at all. And I think too, in radio, especially working at a label, you are so clearly a vessel.
Mm-hmm.
The impact is not you or the edit that you made or a really great promotion strategy. That helps, be a megaphone to the impact, but you are a vessel to Jesus touching somebody's life. And
Mm-hmm.
so the passage that talks about like, would the hand say to the foot, I don't need you or something? And it's like, no, we are all one body. And I think I see that so much in the mechanism that is Christian music on a business side.
Yeah, that's really cool. I love that. And I love that passage too, because it just reminds us no matter what part you play, you're still valuable. And that's so important to remember. Well, this has been so awesome to talk with you, Rachael. I've loved learning about your job and what you do. And I think it's so great that you love it and that God has given you this position. So I'm excited for you, and I'm praying many blessings on you as you continue to do what you have to do to get all those good songs out, because we love listening to them.
Oh, thank you. 2024 is going to be a great year, I think.
Yeah, I believe it. Well, before I let you go, I always like to ask my guests to tell me a memory from when they were a kid. So I'd love to hear what you have to tell us today.
Oh man, I have a lot of memories from when I was a kid. My parents were really intentional in the home and also intentional with travel. But in the home, my mom had one of those like China red plates that say, you are special today. And there's a matching mug. Some of you listening might have one in your cabinet right now as we speak. And not only did she put that red plate in front of somebody she wanted to honor, but it was pretty much expected if it's your birthday or you got an A on a test that you studied really hard for, you got a big role in a play or clinched a championship, you would get that red plate at dinner. And the whole family would sit around and they would go around and say 3 things they love about the person being honored. So,
cool.
Yeah, the stipulation though, and this is where the childhood memory comes into play. My mom would always say it has to be something about the person on the inside. So you can't say, I like your eyes, I like your hair, and I like your smile.
Yeah.
It has to be on the inside. So my brother, being the punk that he is, he's 8 years older than me. When he was 12 or 13, he would say, on the inside, got it. I like your bones, I like your heart, and I like your lungs. Like, what? That does not count. You cannot do that. So as we got older, we started to learn just like, honestly, how special it is to have your nuclear family see you and speak into you, and even see things that maybe you felt like you lost over the year that they still see in you is really special. And then at the end of that, the person being honored will go around to the people in the room and give them a prayer request. And everybody will get up from their seats, lay hands on the person who is being honored, and pray that prayer request over that person. So it's a really special time of just uplifting and going to the throne and intercession for the person in your family that you want to honor and pray continuous blessings on. And I think as kids, we'd all be like, oh, I don't want to do the red plate tonight. It takes forever. But now as adults and all of us being married and growing our families and coming back together on holidays and celebrating people's birthdays that were recently celebrated it's a really special moment of pausing and recognizing and speaking into one another.
I love that so much. I want to go get a red plate right now. I think that's such a good thing and like you said, your family is like, that's your home base. That's your tribe. You want those people to be the ones to speak life into you, to say good things about you. And we should also practice doing that more often, to saying what we see in other people, saying the good things and positive things. So, I think that's such a good memory. I love that. I love that your family, now they still do that. Does your mom still bring out the red plate?
She does. So last year was a milestone birthday for her. I won't betray her by saying what milestone, but we all spent Thanksgiving together, and my dad traveled from Ohio to Tennessee with a red plate in the car so he could surprise her with her cake on the red plate, and we all did it. And same thing this year. It was her birthday and my husband's birthday and my aunt's birthday. So we had 3 red plates because the whole family now has them. When we get married, she gifts us our own red plate for our own family to start a tradition.
That's cool.
And so, yeah, we did it for the family, and it was really special.
I love that, Rachael. That is such a cool idea. So, all right, families, Parents, write that down. You need to go get yourself a red plate and do this with your family. That's so good. Well, Rachael, this has been so fun. Thank you so much for being on the show today and sharing about your job.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I love this podcast and I love how it bridges kids and parents together and can build conversation as they're driving or doing an art project at home. It's really special.
Wasn't that so interesting? There are so many parts of the music industry that I just don't know about. And it's so fascinating to learn about different people that work along the way to help bring us all the music that we love so much. Rachael has to listen to hundreds of songs and work to help these songs find spots on the radio so they can help to encourage people as they listen. I love the story of how Rachael got started in this job, and it was just following the advice of her parents and her grandparents that led her to intern at a job at the very prestigious TRIBL Records. And I love when her dad gave her the advice, God knows your address. He knows exactly where you are and exactly where you need to be, and he's going to make things happen to get you to where you're supposed to go next. I just love that encouragement. I also love the idea about the red plate and making someone in your family feel so very special. Such a beautiful idea her mom had, and something that has inspired me to want to get a red plate for my family and start this tradition. So I just started a list on my Amazon storefront called the Collide Kids Podcast Finds to give you a quick link to resources or items we talk about on the show, just like the You Are Special red plate. So if you want to go check this out, you're welcome to. And I do want to mention that the podcast does get a small commission from Amazon for items that are purchased through this link. Well, now it's time for the kids only segment. This is the part of the show where you get to be on the podcast. So here is Karis.
Hi, my name is Karis, and this is my Bible verse. Isaiah 41:10. Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be afraid, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will hold you with my righteous right hand.
Thank you, Karis. That is such a great Bible verse to kick off this new year. Well, hey, I'd love to hear your favorite Bible verse or a joke or an encouraging quote that you like from a book or a movie, or maybe you want to sing me a song. Just head over to my website, collidekidspodcast.com, and click the tab at the top that says Kids Only. You can record it right there. It's super easy, or you can find information about how to send it to me through my social media. I'm on Facebook at the Collide Kids Podcast or on Instagram at Collide Kids Pod. You're also welcome to follow me there as I share lots of great resources and information about the guests that we have each week. And if you're looking for ways to support the podcast, I would love for you to follow and subscribe to this podcast and leave a rating and a review. When you do that, it really does help other people find out about the show so they can listen too. You can also share this episode with friends and family and let them know why you like to listen. Or if you feel like supporting the podcast financially, you can head over to my website and click the link at the top that says support. And anytime you think about it, I always appreciate your prayer support as well. Well, I hope you guys have an amazing week, and thank you so much for listening to this first episode of 2024. And in case no one has told you today, I would love to be the first to remind you that God loves you so much. Thanks for listening.
You don't have to go very far looking for bad news because somehow it just finds you. So finding peace in the chaos can be really difficult, but it doesn't have to be because the River mobile app exists. The River is a Christian music radio station dedicated to playing music to help you get through life's toughest moments or life's happiest moments and everywhere in between, and all from artists who love Jesus and are real people just like you. Listening is easy. You can download it wherever you get apps from. Just search 1049 The River or listen online at riverradio.com. And know that The River is proud to partner with the Collide Kids podcast.